Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Studio Chat podcast. I haven't felt like this ever before for a recording of a podcast. And you know why? I'm feeling quite gurgly in the tummy. And it's excitement, but it's also stuff that this is a very serious conversation that we're having today. It's stuff that I really want you to open your ears and I really want you to listen to the words we're saying, because this, I don't say this lightly, this can and will change your life. It's a different insight. This is more than a conversation today. That's all I'm going to say. And thank you for joining us, like taking the time out of your day. We might be in your ears when you're running or at the gym or in your car. And I want to thank you because this means the world to me that you're listening. And I'm going to introduce my guest. I'm going to say hello to her in a minute, but we're doing things differently today. So Claire and I have got together and we're going to do a mini series called Wake Up, Your Body is Talking. It's going to be a 4-part transformative series to explore the deep connection between our body, our emotions, our beliefs, and our healing. So on that note, hi, Claire.
Hi, Barbara. Hi, everybody listening. I hope you're all having a great day, as Barbara had said, at the gym or driving or vacuuming or, yeah, here we are. We're going to, have that fabulous conversation that we've been planning, right, Barbara?
Yeah, this is amazing stuff. This is like, I think I mentioned it before. If we could put a bumper sticker or we could put something on, like listen to your body, like stop. Your body is not being a little bitch. It's actually trying to tell you something.
Yes. And
And
this
I,
is my number one message. You need to listen.
because when you have a sore throat, when you have a sore tummy, when there's lumps, there's bumps, there's I see so many clients that don't go to the toilet for 4 or 5 days. And they're like, how often should you poo or go to the toilet? And I'm like, well, definitely more than 4 to 5 times a day. You're full of shit. So I really want you to take a moment. It's going to be a very in-depth conversation, but this is stuff you need to know. And please pass it on to your family, friends, work colleagues. If you're at work, hey, listen to this podcast. I think you need to know about it. We're talking today about stored emotions, and what we don't face lives in our body. Have you ever thought that, just think about now, go back, do you have painful periods? Do you constantly have gastro? Do you have acid reflux? Do you have a weepy eye? Do you have a runny nose? Do you have a sore tooth? Do you have, what's another
Back
one?
pain,
Back pain.
migraines.
Have you ever thought of why? Like, yes, you have a head cold or a cold or you have the thing, but have you had it in a knowing deep down that you're like, how come I'm in a room of people and there's always that one person that never gets sick?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Or how come I'm getting a cold all the time and I can't shake it?
Oh, yes. Yes. Worked with clients with that one. Yes.
So the theme is emotional suppression, avoidance, and the cost of not processing. So I told you it was big stuff. Right.
But I've got to say, while it is big stuff, I do pride myself in being able to simplify it so it is user friendly for people to really understand. It's when we're not going to go complicated and talking about big deal words that I can't pronounce. We want to make it really simple, user friendly, so people get that aha and then can do something about it. So that's a really high value of mine, is again making it user friendly. So yeah, bring it on, Barbara.
And that's why you're here. So, being so authentic and it's easy to talk about. Okay. So why, this is something I know a lot of us do. Guys, I want you to think about it. Do you think about your childhood? All of us have a childhood wound, like something. Think about trauma, what that word means to you and what you've experienced in your life so far. Think about the fear of just feeling something. Hold on for a second. Hang on. Okay, Claire, what I want to start with is when people think about childhood wounds, they think about any trauma they've been through, the fear of feeling.
Mm.
I think I can relate to this earlier on too. We suppress it. We block it, we suppress it, we don't want to think about it. Why do we do that?
Good question. Let's start right at the deep end, Barbara. This is your style.
Yeah, I just jump in 2 feet in. Let's go.
Yeah, I would agree that everybody has their own variation of chaos or trauma within their childhood. And when we look at how we come into this world like that pure slate, and yes, we can acknowledge past lives and anything else, but coming into this world where you've got that family unit in that beautiful nest that they will create for you, this is where you start to have to change who you are to make sure that your needs get met by family, caregivers, and everything like that. So if your family has a really strong value in religion or a strong value in sport, or they're at the other end where they too are struggling with addiction or anything like that, then as a child, you are going to change who you are to be able to keep the peace, to ensure your survival. The other direction you could go is to be rebellious and make a whole lot of noise. But either way, you are going to conform and change who you are again to ensure your survival. And so, with that, as you start to grow up, you recognize that while your identity of who you are in that family unit is one thing, growing up in this world, your adult experience starts to give you a really different perspective of what's outside of that nest. And so we get torn between, okay, who I was taught to be, how to get my needs met, versus what the outside world requires me, right? And so this is where we start to look back at our childhood and go, oh, so, I wasn't supposed to just like give all of me to feel valued. Like there's actually a different way. Can you relate to this, Barbara, like from your experience?
Mm. Especially with oversharing. I know that's a different part of giving, but I think I have always been the loudest in the class. I talk all the time, would get in trouble talking for all the time. Everyone,
No, not you.
yep, on all my school reports. Lovely girl, but talk so much. Well, guess what? I do a podcast now.
Yeah.
So I would for people to always had a lot of friends and stuff. That was never an issue for me, but it was more, goodness me, I would share because I thought everyone was really nice.
Yeah.
I thought the world was a kind, caring place. Everyone was so nice. And I would just tell them everything. To the point, my mum a while ago, well, I've known for a while, she shared a story with me that I was at kindergarten and a teacher came up to me and pulled me aside and she said, Barbara, you're really lovely, but no one likes a telltale tit. So I used to talk a lot, but also overshare as in I must have been a dobber of like, nah, that's horrible, right? But anyway, that was me. It's okay. But oversharing, overgiving. As a therapist, I see a lot of people, and I was the same too, like, especially in my relationships, I will give everything over to someone, and it's okay if I don't get anything back.
Mm.
I don't matter. Like it's all right as long as you're up high or as long as you're happy. I get all my happiness from you. So
Yeah.
that's another
Yeah.
way of like overgiving, or a lot of people overgive again because we want to make sure everyone likes us because we want to, oh my God, if someone doesn't like us, or when you do the I can imagine when people do the school drop-offs and one of the mothers from the mothers group gives you a side, we only need a side eye. We only need an eye roll. We only need to look up and down and we don't feel like we're good enough.
Yeah, yeah, yes. And we can either camouflage that with being absolutely perfect, hide that, or we go the other way, that really empathetic and like go out of your way to like check in and prove and all of the things that go with it. So did it make sense to you then growing up that you would shift and change who you are to make sure like there was the truth on the table and to share and give, and then everybody was like, oh,
Yeah.
Barbara's good. We like Barbara.
I wonder if anyone can relate to this because I just had a flashback thinking of I have the ability to any job I could go into the warehouse and talk to all the warehouse boys and I can walk into the CEO's office or whatever. I'd slightly talk to them differently, but I could relate to all people. I like to
Yeah.
live from all around the world. So I feel like um Yeah, I've actually just lost my train of thought.
It's a gift though, right? To be able to approach people, connect, engage. It is definitely something that's missing from this world, especially with social media and all the things that that kind of gift to feel confident in yourself, to get, it's almost like you light up and then they mirror that back, like you see the light in people and they reflect that back to you. Has that been your experience?
Yeah, but I also think, you suppress yourself.
Mm.
When you light up a room, when you walk into a room and you feel everyone's heads turn, I don't know why we're talking about me, but we're gonna, I don't know why this episode isn't about me. But when you walk into a room and heads turn, so I was given that so people want to look at me, but also my voice is so distinctive that I will say one or two words and they're like, oh, Barbara's here. They'll hear me before they see me. Oh, Barbara's here. So, I think it's more we suppress who we are, even if we feel powerful or even if we're good at something. It's a very Kiwi Aussie thing to downplay our strengths because the tall poppy syndrome, if it was America, I guess some people I know are like, hey, look at me. And everyone's like, yeah, awesome, keep going, you're amazing. But if we, especially as women too, if we're good at something, we want to poo-poo ourselves before anyone gets in,
Oh yeah, yeah.
or we dim
Indicates there's
ourselves.
some judgment in the past. Yeah.
Yeah, we dim ourselves down. But I think suppression, I mean, it is such a big thing to start with, but this is what I do on my podcast. We don't muck around. We don't talk about the light stuff. We're here to change. We're here to help you when you're listening to this. So I want you to think of, what are you suppressing right now? Was it something that you went through? It could be the big stuff too, but it doesn't have to be the big stuff. Because when you think
No.
childhood trauma, people
Yeah.
think of, like, I don't like to use that word, but things that happen in your life that were difficult to process, or a loss or something. If you think about that for a moment, or we downplay it, oh, someone else has got so much, that's what I hear often too.
The
Someone will be going
comparison.
through something in the present moment and it's tough, but they'll go, oh, but XYZ, oh, what am I complaining about? They've got it so much harder.
Yeah. 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 And there's that comparison piece. So people need to keep in mind that even your first day of school could be held within the unconscious mind to be a traumatic memory. And a particular client I'm thinking of to illustrate this for everybody is super ready for the first day of school, looks up to mum sobbing her, sobbing her heart out. And the little child, the little one, had said, oh my gosh, mum's not ready. Like, what's wrong with me? She's taking me to this scary place. Like, the unconscious mind had just gone into full blown, oh my God, what's the problem? Mum's upset. And so that had made her whole lifestyle and her energy just completely restrict that if I'm not safe at school, how else am I not safe in this world? And the weird and fascinating thing was when we undid that program, that belief, her world completely shifted where it was just like travel, travel, super yachts, and everything else that goes with it. So that one moment in time does not have to be big deal, sinister, kidnapping kind of thing. It can just be your mind picking up on a potential threat to your survival. And then that's it. It's made a rule, and we are no longer going to just expand our energy and trust.
Hmm. I'm just thinking about like childhood wounds, and it could be when your parents got separated, and you're like, oh, it's okay, they still talk to each other, everything's fine.
Mm.
I would want you to explore that a bit more. It's things like a teacher telling you off in front of everyone. I mean, I don't know what they do now, but I know back in the day, in the 80s, it was like, teachers can do things that they can't do now. So it could be that, it could be you're always the last person to get picked in a sports team.
Yeah.
These things matter. And also just suppressing, like you could be in a group of friends, and I always struggled with threes. Like if it was me and
Yes.
two other girls, I mean, I was always, now I understand, but I was always never fitted in.
Yeah.
I had heaps of friends, and heaps of friends from netball or work, or like, friends from all different places, not just one thing. But especially with my school friends, I was always on the outer, and there's always like two girls and then me, or four girls and then me. Like I was
Yeah.
the odd one. And there's nothing worse than being in a group of friends, no matter what age you are, and then, like, I just want to, don't suppress your emotions, don't suppress things.
Well, the question that comes to mind, though, that situation where you're up in front of the class and the teacher tells you off or tells somebody else off, there's a difference in the way that it will impact you based on your childhood programming and everything that backs you up about support and belonging. And then the other kid is like, oh, water off a duck's back. Okay, the teacher's in a bad mood, whatever. So
Yeah.
it's interesting that just because it triggers one person doesn't mean that it's going to trigger the other one. And that's where, if you've got those limitations sitting there in the background, that's when we start to develop those kind of health concerns. Don't feel supported, don't feel like I've got a voice that people will hear, sore throat, so on and so forth. So it's quite interesting to give out those examples. I was like, yeah, but isn't that fascinating? It doesn't impact everybody.
That's really, yeah, that's so true. That's so true.
You
But I think,
mentioned in that about like the parents divorce side of things. And if anybody here has been suffering with anxiety type symptoms, let me give it to you in a quick snapshot of what's caused that type of anxiety. In childhood, if you were on your merry way, think about child, I always have this picture in my head of like just a skipping child. They come home from school and then suddenly there's this shock where dad's leaving, or there's been this news like, yep, that's it, it's over. In that moment, the child has gone from just being on their merry way to shock, and the unconscious mind wants to ensure your survival. So what it will do now is it'll make a rule. It'll say, okay, that was bad, just being calm and on my merry way. I now need to be on the lookout for the worst case scenario, potential threats, potential problems, da 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 da. And this is now the anxiety. And what it's doing is trying to, again, ensure your survival. When you work with clients and you go back and have a look at that event and say, wow, notice how the rug got pulled out from underneath you, how standing on that rug of other people's ideas of how to live their life, you're so vulnerable. What happens if you actually step off that rug and now that foundation can't get pulled out from underneath you? Now you can start, and we do all sorts of different other work, but now instead of your unconscious mind looking for the potential threat, it's just like, huh, isn't that interesting? Does that translate, Barbara? Does that make sense?
it makes sense. And it's, yeah, I mean, divorce is a good example because a lot of people will be like, oh, I was this old, it didn't really affect me, or I can't remember. Your body can remember.
Yeah.
That's really important. Another one was, even if you have siblings, if you're an only child, sure, there's some things there, but if you have siblings, it's the ranking of the order of who's born first. It's the ranking of there'll be interpersonal dynamics of one will get more love or more praise, or you'll see that. And I think that goes into suppressing emotions too.
Oh yeah, 100%. And then in we can't, it's undeniable. There's some families like the boy is more important than the girl, all of the different things. The girl has different expectations. Yeah, people please, good manners, and then he's encouraged to speak up and go out there and make the money. Like it's a whole thing, birth order and everything else that goes with it.
Mm. Yeah, I just thought of something. I want to ask you a question. So I mean, I think this is such a common thing. I'm glad we're talking about it, suppressing emotions. Everyone does it, I think, until they don't, because it's the easiest way. And I think a lot of people discount um, the things in their life that happen that actually later on translate into health concerns. And I don't know how I got here. And then I know that with some clients, I'll talk about childhood wounds or a fear of feeling, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, but that's no big deal." Like they're
Mm.
so quick to, I don't even want to talk about it because my parents' divorce, or how I pissed my pants on the carpet at primary, or I threw up in front of everyone, or I don't know, or I kissed a boy, and then I said, oh, I don't want boy for me. Or like one of the first things at primary school, I had a boyfriend for ages at primary school, and the whole school was like, Barbara and Cameron, they get a kiss behind the little, and everyone came to watch. And then I went to kiss him, and I was like, oh no, I don't want boy germs. Oh my God, everyone's like, Barbara doesn't want boy germs. And and that never. that part never wounded me. There were other things that came after that, but it's just, let's be curious. Let's be curious. Think about your timeline from birth to now, even birth, even how you came into this world. That's a big part of my story. It's a huge part of my story. Huge. So mine started as I flew out. So that's when that happened. But you've got to think about, I know everyone listening to this has a slight smile on their face going, oh, this is so me. I know I do it. And I'm okay with that. But I want to now kind of move into, where are the emotions stored in our body? So we talk about suppression, but then I want to take it one step further with you, is like, so people can really open their eyes and ears and know, you can sit there and be like, oh, that's no big deal, or I've done it for so long. Ugh, I'm just not even, it doesn't even affect my life now. I'm fine. But where do emotions store in the body, like the normal anger, grief, fear, resentment, and shame? They're the kind of, I mean, there's so many more than that, but I think they're the main ones that a lot of us feel.
Yeah. So if I just do a bit of a sidestep with that particular topic there, with the limiting emotions, as you said, when we go back to my metaphor of being in the nest, there is going to be a standard in which your family almost like put around you. So their standards will protect you, but they will also limit you. Let me take this one step further. So if your family has a particular standard in which, as we said there, the good girls, people please, good manners, make people feel comfortable. And then the minute that you don't, make Nana feel comfortable, boom, there is shame, or there's guilt, or there's frustration. And I want you to have a look at this, because the limiting emotions, such as guilt, shame, fear, anger, all of those things. I have a kookaburra staring right at me. This is interesting. Um, when you unpack that, this is your inner child handing your power over to somebody else. Somebody else set the standards. And because of that, that is why you experience shame. You didn't meet somebody else's expectations. The guilt, the guilt is that you didn't balance that harmony for other people according to somebody else's rules. The frustration is saying, okay, I know I need to go do the thing, but according to mum's rules or whoever, I'm holding myself back. So all of these limiting emotions are based on handing your power over to somebody else, looking like even judgment. Okay, I'm feeling judged right now being at the front of the classroom, based on them saying that you're good enough. Like when I got this, it was just like, okay. And when you realize that if you're living to other people's expectations, other people's standards, there is no amount of doing enough, being enough, showing up enough to be able to make sure that you get that good validation that, yes, you're good enough, you did a good job. That comes from within instead of handing your power over to others. So the thing that very quick example here with how that comes up with health concerns is that if you were told again to have good manners, but you know that that guy over there is a creep and all of that, you may actually start to get a bit of a sore throat. You're going to hold back something that you want to say. There's going to be health concerns because there's a conflict in you. My identity says I have to have good manners, and then your values say, yeah, but he doesn't deserve it. And this is where the body starts to weaken itself with health concerns, chest pains, back pain, you name it. So depending on how your health is talking to you will indicate where that goes back to.
Mm. So there's a couple of things I'm thinking about with emotions stored in the body and how they present themselves. I don't know why I keep looking up at the trees, but I am. It's weird. I'm doing so many firsts today. I'm thinking, when you're with your parents, when you're brought up with whoever brings you up, you're not using as children, we yes, no, yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full, really. And you play that out. So a lot of the time you don't get to use your voice. You think about it, when we're children, we dream, we draw, we have imaginations, we are silly. For some kids, they don't get to, but childhood, laughter, fun, playfulness, joy. It's so sweet. All the little, there's a little Claire and there's a little Barbara running around, and they're just the sweetest little girls. So pure, so innocent.
Yeah.
And then a lot of us want to make our parents proud.
Yes.
What? No. Our parents it shouldn't be the other way around. I'm like, what? Why, as a little person, have you got so much pressure on your shoulders to make your parents proud? Your parents unconditionally should like you no matter what. The big thing is like, I want my parents to be proud. So I'll go to med school, I'll do the thing, but I don't want to do that. We stop dreaming. When I say to people, tell me what man or woman you want, and they go, oh, I can't do that. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
what career do you want? Oh, I can't do that. That's really me wanting, like, this holiday or this thing. I'm like, no, 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 it's all there for you. But if you don't know where you're going, or you don't voice what you want, it can't come to you. It can't, you know what I mean? Like, it's just,
Oh,
you know,
I've got to interject, and I'm doing really well not to interrupt. One of my old childhood stuff there. Uh, Again, if you think about the way that you trust support, and that like your family growing up was the support, their rules, their conditions, their everything, and you lean back on that wall of support. Anytime that you set a goal for yourself to that's out there, some people really struggle with having that distance behind them from where my support is anchored versus where I'm going. And they really struggle with being alone in that scenario. And that is definitely one of my pet peeves, when people say, okay, live your best life. I've got all of the steps, how to do that. It pushes on people's inadequacies. That's why they go and buy the solution. But what most people miss out on is you need to redefine support before you can go and do the thing in front of you. And in fact, that's one of the number one reasons that keep women in domestic violence or in trauma, is because that's safer than the unfamiliar out there. It's quite fascinating to me when people talk about their goals and their manifestation and things. It's not just mindset. You actually have to have the support and the strategy and everything in place to have that momentum, right? And you would have experienced that, Barbara, in your world. From moving to Australia and doing all of things, you must have put things in place to trust yourself, to have that inner support and that inner validation to go, yeah, you know what, I'm moving away from home country, and like, wow, how can this get any better?
Didn't even think about it at the time. I've lived 3 places. I've lived in Tahiti when I did a student
Oh,
exchange. I've lived in Florida, and I've lived now in Australia. So I had lived overseas before, but this time moving here was the most. I was older than the other 2 times, but I actually was like, oh, it's only just around the corner. It's Australia. And then when I moved here, it was like thud. It was like, what have I done?
yeah,
So that's why the move was so easy for me. Obviously, it was meant to
yeah.
be.
You
It
created the
was so
strategy.
easy that I
Yeah,
didn't even think about it. I was
yeah.
like, how are you doing? I'm like, oh, it's easy. And then that first week I got here, wow, I was like, uh-oh,
And you got to work it out.
what have I done? Yeah, so yeah, I think what I'm hearing too is you think about our childhood and our beliefs and our values that we've learned from our parents, and we're sponges, and it's the cyclic, like it's a cycle behavior. We learn from that. And what I'm hearing is you can have the goal, like some people don't do the core work or the inner work that we're talking about. They just want to, oh, I'm capable of getting this degree, or I'll get this boat, or I'll get this trip, or I'll get this thing. But what I'm hearing from you, it's the concrete, like I always talk about building a house. It's like the concrete slab. It's like, if you don't have that, and it comes from that, nothing, you can do it. And the house may stand up for a little bit, but when there's a big storm, or there's a lot of rain, or it will, Like the three
Yeah.
little Pigs story, the house will crumble.
And with the foundation, anyway, how much money and work, unseen work, goes into the ground that you can't show to people. It's invisible. But when there's the emotional turbulence, like, yeah, that
Let me
house will hold you up. Yes, 100%.
I'm laughing about like how far I've come and, and all the growth that I've done. And it's like, if anyone had told me 10 years ago how long there was no end goal, but what I've had to read, what I've had to study, the hours of crying, the hours of trusting and having
Yes.
faith and just
Yeah.
letting go and having certainty. It's like, sometimes when clients see me, hang on, let me kind of reframe that. If clients see me in therapy, it's not for everyone. I say it's not for everyone, but people come into therapy and then I've seen them for a year and they look at me and go, Barbs, this has been really good. And I said, yeah, but if
Yeah.
you sat on that chair in your first session, I said, I'm going to have to see you for a year. They looked at me and they're like, I would have bolted. And I said, yes. So we
Yeah.
just take it one day at a time, one session at a time. We take life one day.
However, however, with your brilliant landscape of experience, your clients have to come to you for 1 year because you know what works, you know how to listen, you know how to get the best out of them, compared to, okay, go out there and do all the things and self-coach and self-explore. You can spend 20 years of just, whatever that means, or like sit in the chair with Barbara and like watch the zaps and watch your world just completely change. And that's what people neglect to take on board when they're signing up for coaching or therapy, is that if you are working with somebody who knows what they are doing, it'll just take one strong decision and you will see the ripple effect change, because we're not experimenting. This is your life. We're not experimenting with taking too long, too much fluff, too like, no, let's make this happen.
Mm.
You relate to that one?
And I relate to that one because we've done the work and we know, and you know what? Most of the time someone's sitting in front of me, I've done what you've done. So, hey, I was 38 when I was like, and now I'm attracted to this type of guy. What is it? Then I found out what it was. So I see women 18, 19, 20 work with me. And I often say to them,
So lucky.
I don't want you to be, yeah. I was like, but then I said to a client the other day, wonder if I had a Barbara sitting in front of me, would I have listened? And you know what? No, because I'm a bit of a firecracker. So I had to do it for
Definitely got your
myself.
attention though.
Yeah, it's interesting because I don't know. Who knows? But I have said to a few of my clients, it's in front of me, and it's almost mirroring what I've been through, especially in that dynamic of a romantic relationship with a man. And I'm like, hey, I'm with you. I totally understand. They're like, how do you know? Like they sometimes just go, can you read my mind? I'm like, no. I've literally played that out. I said, do you want to be 38 and be like, what happened to me? And they're like, no. I'm like, listen. And they're like, how come you're always right? And I'm like, no, it's not about being right, but it's like, I will shorten those years for you. So how
Yes.
cool would it be to have a cycle or have a pattern or
Yeah.
have an understanding of something that can be
Yeah.
like
Yep.
so much? Yeah, I think that's amazing.
It is. And if I put spotlight on you for just a little bit, and you can jump out of the spotlight if you want. You said at the beginning that, you are a big talker, a big sharer. How do you respond when things go quiet?
I'm fine.
Yeah. When you were growing up, what would be the problem with the silence?
If I was around people and I was silent, people would always ask what's wrong.
Mm,
But I was always okay with it. I've never had a personally, I've never
yeah.
had a problem with silence. I'm okay with it. But
Yep.
it would be other people going, what is wrong with you? Why you talk a lot, you're loud, and on the days that you're not loud, or the days that you're not talking, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? There's something wrong.
Mm,
What's wrong?
yeah. Yep. Was there something wrong?
No. But there would be something wrong if they'd asked me 2 or 3 times. I would tell them where to go.
Now, this is interesting because most people who've been brought up in a chaotic family, I say chaotic, but even just that example with the being dropped off at school or whatever it is for those people, most people keep a level of noise because when things go silent, that's usually the silence before the storm. And that's usually when they're growing up that it's like they will keep themselves busy, distract, do all of the things because, gosh, when things go quiet, this is when, mum's going to have a teary outburst or she's going to be unpredictable. So a lot of people run from the silence and the peace because there's an association that, that calmness, the silence, there's a silence before the storm. And usually when we see people doing burnout and things, that's actually what they're trying to get away from. They're not actually trying to get away from a lot of noise. They're trying to get away from the silence of the past and distracting and being busy. And it was interesting working with a client recently where she said, oh, I just want like 20 minutes to myself. I just want to rest. But when I do, like my son wants me or my husband, blah, 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 all of these interruptions. And I said, why are you attracting that? What's the problem with you just resting? And again, we went back to childhood, and like the minute that she got to rest was, yeah, there was going to be some sort of turbulence. So her nervous system had magnetically pulled in interruptions and be busy and do and all of the things to avoid the problem that she couldn't solve when she was little. And
Yeah,
this is that burnout. Yeah.
using me as a case study, sometimes I might be a bit off field. That one I was a little bit like, I'm okay with silence, I'm fine. I can sit even before, yeah, but before I was really checked out. So before in any of my relationships or my family, I could play by myself, I could be by
Yeah.
myself. I could stare at a wall and like I'd be totally okay. But then
Yeah.
I checked out, so that could be something else. But one thing I hear with a lot of people, they can't rest or they can't stop. A, because it wasn't modeled for them, but also they heard that if you stop, you're lazy. So they'd have mothers that would be OCD, would never stop, would be up at till 2 o'clock in the morning cleaning the house, go, go, go. So they will copy that. But then if they do rest, and it's interesting, there's this whole thing about being house proud and having the house all like I'm all for having a tidy house, right?
Yeah.
But I find that there's this fascination in this generation where people have to have this show home, like I say to some people, what have you been doing? Oh, cleaning the house, and it's like all that, like 8 hours in the weekend. They do it every weekend. I think, Jesus, and their house is immaculate for sure.
Yeah. But there obviously that perfectionism is a self-defense mechanism, like worried about people's judgments, all of the things that go with that. So
Or
pardon?
suppress, or I think it could be a suppression technique.
Yeah, tell me more.
As in, like, I've got to keep myself, like, part of it is I've got to keep myself busy, but if I keep myself busy, I don't sit still. If I don't sit still, I don't
Oh
think
yeah,
of,
that one. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Which again, I reckon we would, if we tracked that back, it would still go back to that perfectionism, got to be perfect, not to be judged. Uh yeah, got to prove I'm like busy, so I'm important. Like there'd be all sorts of different masking going on with that one. Absolutely. And then feeling like you're out of control, but you can control the cleaning. Like there's all the different.
Yeah, that's a good conversation to have too. People that always want to be in control. And, I'm just going to say it because I do. You actually can't control anything. So good luck because you actually are not in control of anything. I don't know if you agree on that. Like, there's different levels of control, right? So you are in charge
Oh
of your
yeah.
life and how it flows. So I don't want people to go, oh, I don't have any control. All right, here I go. I'm just going to break all the laws and the rules. No, no, no. You have that control. But what I mean by how people white knuckle life, how they have their diaries so tight and they're like, Barbara, they dismiss their husbands so much. They won't let them do any of the cleaning or they won't let them fold the washing because they hang the washing out with different colored pegs or they don't use the right detergent or they don't vacuum properly or whatever. And I know there's a lot of women out there that do that, that shut the husband out because he can't do it properly or it's a sense
Yeah.
of control.
Yeah, and those people that argue over how to load the dishwasher accurately, this isn't about the dishwasher. That's a symptom. We're talking about your need to be right and how that right gives you certainty, and now you're in control. And so you're on top of all the things. But if we bring this back to our original intent with the body storing the beliefs and things, what I know from my clients' cases is that people who need to be in control a lot often have a lot of migraine, headaches, types of things. And obviously, this is a short podcast where we could talk about this for hours. But when you think about the mind being the control panel of your experience, that mind being it controls your temperature, it controls your breathing, it controls everything. And so if you put that into hyperdrive and you need to control all the things, and then you wonder why you get a headache on Monday morning when you got to go to work where you're out of control. I mean, like, come on, like there's a link here about your relationship with control and needing it to feel safe, right? And so, yeah, it's interesting when you're working with clients
Yeah.
how the body's telling you what's going on.
Interesting, even in a work environment where you can be the powerful person at home and then you go to work and you might not be good with authority, or your boss is a bit of a dick or something, and then you go to work and your boss is telling you to do something and you have a headache.
Yeah, yeah, and you're feeling out of control.
But people go, "Oh, I've just got a headache. Probably I didn't drink enough water." Maybe, but possibly there's other reasons for the headache too.
Yeah, and so we can follow that one with the obviously obviously with headaches and things. Yes, you need to do all the good things for your body, water, drinking. You're in a 3D body. You're going to have to do that. But energetically, with the beliefs and things like that, if you were so much in control that you even forgot to drink water, it's like it plays hand in hand. Because when you are in alignment and feeling really good and balanced about where you are in life, who you are in life, it's weird because you'll naturally crave good, healthy food. The minute that you come out of, and I know this for myself, the minute you come out of alignment and you go for that comfort food and everything with it, and it's like, well, no wonder you got gut issues and blah, blah, blah. Like it's all connected.
Mm, yeah, it is. And I think it's a lot of people will, I've got a thing down here. It's this emotional bypassing and positivity culture. So I think that we talked about that briefly before about, just manifest and have the vision board and do all the things, but you haven't worked on the foundation stuff.
Yeah.
That's where
Yeah.
that comes from. So that's important. But I want to move on to something else, which I think is something that people will do, but they won't even know that they're doing it.
Oh, tell me.
Their avoidance of things becomes so automatic that it blocks their healing.
Say that again. So their avoidance becomes so automatic.
That
Blocks
it
everything.
blocks their healing, like their body to be able to do what it does, because the body will give them biofeedback to go, hey, you're holding on to this emotion or you're not processing this feeling. So I'm going to start off by giving you a bit of eczema or itchy skin. But then the itchy skin's going to turn into a lump, or it's going to turn into dandruff, or it's going to turn into, look, I'm just saying things that come off
Yeah,
the
I
top.
love it.
But this. So people don't track their periods, they don't track how many times they get a headache, they don't track their bowel motions or like any kind of feeling in the body. So it's
Mm.
how I use that for an example is, how often do you say to people, oh God, I had terrible sleep lately. But if
Yeah.
I get people to journal their sleep, out of 7 nights, there might be 3 nights that they have a horrific sleep. But when they go to
Yeah.
the barbecue on the weekend and that, how are you, Joe? Oh, mate, good, bloody tired, had terrible sleep. No, you haven't. You've had 3 out of the 7 that was shit. But we will obviously, and we all do it, we'll say, we'll blanket it, which means then your belief is, yeah, I can't sleep, I'm not getting enough sleep. So I really believe that when we are not on autopilot and we become aware, like people poo-poo this a lot, but every time I've done this intuitively from the moment I got my period. No one told me how to do this. My headaches, not that I get rashes or anything, but anything that isn't with my body, I actually make a note of it and date it. This is
Yeah.
way before I knew any of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And now I do this with my clients. Well, how often do you get a headache? I don't know. Well, let's just start putting just record it. Let's just get curious with it. Why is this happening?
And are you doing that for a particular purpose? Are you looking for, because obviously some people do black and white thinking and it's like, yeah, I'm so tired. It's, I'm not sleeping well. Are you looking for like the gray in between going, actually, it's not as extreme as as my ego wants it to be?
Correct. But also it's like getting information, it's getting data. Okay, I'm not sleeping well. Why? Let's break it down. What
Yeah,
happened?
can we explore that then? Because most people who love data also love the science that backs things up. Um, so a lot of people in the medical system trust their five senses, what you can see, hear, taste, touch, and engage with. And so that gives them safety within the science. Like we can collect the data on it. And then what you and I are discussing within the beliefs being stored in the body, I mean, science is catching up, but then we're talking at a quantum level of saying, yeah, it's at a different level. I can't finish that sentence, but it's at
No,
a different level, right?
I get what you mean. What I do is I start off with the stuff that people know. Then I go to
Okay.
the stuff they don't know. Because if I go into the stuff they don't know, they won't even listen. So it's kind
Yeah.
of like, I need you to do this for me first,
Yeah,
explore
clever.
why. And then I keep saying, why? And they're like, oh, so they can actually figure it out themselves. But
Yeah.
your body is trying to talk to you. So that's how I do on that step level. What is your body saying? I don't know. And most people don't give a shit. Well, you need to give a shit. So let's find out why. Why are you drinking excessively? Why are you doing drugs? Why are you doing this? That's just another aspect of it. But,
Yeah.
and there's no judgment. It's just like, what
Just
is your
getting
body?
curious.
Yeah, what is your body trying to do? It's your best mate is trying to help you. How about being 85 years old and getting up out of bed and not being sore? Not being achy. Like that's what I would like to work towards. And that's what I want my clients to work towards. Like age is just a number. Like if you take care of it, it's going to take care of you. And it actually takes care of you right now because it's doing jobs that you don't even know that your body's doing right now. So that's how the stuff that Claire and I talk about, you're not heart pump now, keep pumping. We don't That's what I mean. So this is the energetic stuff that we work with. But if I start that with my clients, they'll be like, "Oh, Barbara, you're weird." But we start with the tangibles of, "Oh, I can write that down," because
Yeah,
people
the self-awareness. Yeah.
they still don't until the blood test. They get the health concern that's like, "Oh my God, I've got XYZ." But if you
Yeah.
break that down, there would have been so many
Yeah.
warnings,
Whispers. Yeah.
right? It doesn't
And
just
that's like brushing your teeth. You can skip it for a few days, but you skip it for 5 years and you gotta
It's yeah, I think it's because it's like feelings. I see it all the time that people don't want to cry. People hate crying, so they'll block it. People don't want to feel things because they're scared it won't stop.
but they also know that when they've asked for help growing up or wherever it's been, that people not necessarily tuned in, tapped into this to have the answers. The
Yeah.
support's not there. If you started crying, who's actually going to hold the space? Been let down so many times before, like I'm not going to let that come to the surface. And that's why the body will speak. You mentioned earlier rashes, and I really I really enjoy actually working with people with skin issues, because the skin, when you think about it, is that barrier between you and the outside world. And if you have a core understanding that people will not consider your needs, or that there's going to be a miscommunication, they won't consider you or think that you matter, your skin will communicate that to the people in front of you. And I often bring up like the example with, think about being on a plane and you're sitting next to a stranger who's got rashy elbows. Naturally, you're going to pull away. And so people who have skin issues usually have boundary issues and communication issues and trust issues that when I say what matters to me, you're actually going to acknowledge it. And if you don't, my skin's going to tell you to back off, which I think is brilliant and very clever. Does that, yeah?
Wow. So with eczema or that kind of dryness and the rashes is because people aren't listening to them.
Yeah, there's usually an undercurrent belief with eczema. There's usually an undercurrent belief that like I don't want to bring your toxic energy into my sacred body. Like I need you to back off because you're not considering me. I have to do this for myself. Pimples is a little bit different. Pimples is it usually comes back to the liver. There's usually these angry outbursts of again, like stay away. And it's only going to be a particular person in your world that's your nervous system has detected a threat. But that's still going to interfere with you being on Instagram or however else. So it's it's interesting to track, but it's also you've got to know what you're doing to notice which is the person that's you're wanting them to consider you, but they're not. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a tough one, isn't it? To work out. In today's day and age, this is really specific for me asking this to you. Why do we distract ourselves with scrolling and food and overworking and overgiving? Like now more than ever, why have we got so much distractions?
Because we're
From what?
escaping from every okay, so then when everybody's number one core everything comes back to knowing that they belong and that they matter. And when there isn't that connection, then again it comes like, what's wrong with me? I don't know how to sort out my emotions. Okay, I'll escape, I'll gamble, I'll drink, I'll scroll. So we're escaping something. And it's usually 9 times out of 10 escaping that fear of not belonging, basically.
Mm. That's really sad.
It is, but then when we look at that and you think about who were you when you were about 8 years old, like who were you, or how did you have to show up, or who did you need to be to belong? Some people needed to be the arty one, some people needed to be the science academic-y one. For me, my experience, I was the arty one. I would get the praise from my grandmother, like, look at this amazing painting. And we would have a belonging, we would have a connection. Take that to my dad, and he'd be like, do you want to go for a bike ride? I'm like, not really. We were speaking a different language. So I know for me now, anyone's seen any of my training, I often have a lot of creative slides like, look, I'm valuable, it's important, versus like, show me the numbers, I don't care. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, that's really nice. I want everyone to go back now and think about your 8-year-old self.
Mm,
It's hard sometimes to do, isn't it? Because you kind of go, what was I like?
yeah, and but more importantly, who were you, or who did you have to become to feel valuable, to know that you belong, that you matter? And then sometimes you may want to reflect on, does that actually work for me now? Do those traits actually get me to feel like I belong? Because I know that some people, like you mentioned earlier, they'll go out and become a doctor or something. Someone will get that praise to go into the corporate world and be smart and have security. But when we look at the parents' insecurity, it came from a good place, but it was like, no, there's no room for art. You need to go make sure you have a secure job and things like that. So they didn't get the belonging to know that they matter, to have that sense of emotional security. Actually, I'm going to quickly sidestep, and this is what we see with depression a heck of a lot,
Mm.
is that people who do depression, and one day in our wake up series, we need to talk about the language we use with this. The people who do depression have often looked to their caregivers to how do I matter, how do I have security, and that person will often give them a list, go get a house and a white picket fence and a good job. That person will go out and do those things to have security. And then over time, they keep doing the thing, wearing the mask. It's not working. What's wrong with me? I'm hopeless. And as those masks, and as you were talking about, like that avoidance and I can't think of the word you used before, the they start to realize that what they're doing is not actually fulfilling. And
Mm.
that's when the depression starts to kick in, the deep rest. I'm sick of being this person. I'm sick of performing in this way. Nobody understands me. And Barbara, when you track it back, it often comes back to, how do I have emotional security, not the material security? Tell me that I matter, that I belong, that no matter what I do, you think I'm incredible, not from a narcissistic point of view, but we all need that, right?
Mm.
And so when you start to wear the masks of who you should be, you lose yourself and you show up doing a fake performance, exhausted out of your mind, sick of playing that character. And that's when the fatigue kicks in, the scrolling, the drinking, whatever else comes with it. So it's the internal versus the external needs being tended to.
Yeah, that's
You get a word in then.
thank you for sharing that. That's really going to help a lot of people.
I
And we
hope
will
so.
talk about depression on another episode, but I was just thinking about it too, and a lot of households where some parents can be deeply depressed, but they hide it. And then so when the kid is feeling some feelings, oh, we don't feel those feelings in this house. And often sadness, it's actually sadness, it's not depression, but everyone is quick to go, oh, it's depression, or it's anxiety, or it's ADHD, or it's autism. It's like, shut up.
Well,
It's
sadness
a
is
person. Like I get so, I'm like, shut up.
sadness often comes back to your relationship to change. So when somebody needs to be in control and have things all together and steady, and then their child is sad, like this is now change. I don't know how to deal with this. Like smarten up, be like keep it together, because I don't know how to deal with the wobbles.
No one likes change. Human beings don't like change. Human beings don't like uncertainty.
They
But
like change if it's a good thing.
yeah, I guess so.
Like if I handed you car keys and said, "Here, we're going to get you a new car," here's a new car, it's change. You're going to like, yeah, right.
Oh yeah,
It'll either
yes, I would like that. Okay. You know me too well. Um, all right, I've got a good one for you. So if we're talking about emotions, if we can help someone today, how can
yeah,
someone begin to process their emotions? Probably a really small baby step, but safely and intentionally.
yeah, good question.
So one little baby step, maybe awareness. Do you think that's probably a really good place to start? Because people are so blocked off. They're so tuned out. They're so automatic pilot. They're so not living life. Do you think the first part is actually, I'm just going to have a journal, have something with me today, and actually wouldn't
No,
just,
make it easier than that. We can
okay,
definitely make it easier without taking up too much more time. There is a really big difference between emotions and feelings. Huge. Now, if you are experiencing the bodily symptoms of your heart racing or sweaty palms or whatever it is, body tingles, like whatever it is, this is your emotions. After that, there's a cognitive component. Your mind will now label it a feeling. And this is where we say, like on a roller coaster or something, excitement and nervousness are much of the same type of bodily response. It depends on how you're going to label it, and it'll depend on the results that you get. So if somebody is trying to have that self-awareness and to notice, okay, palms are getting sweaty or groggly tummy, as you said earlier at the beginning, and it's like, isn't that interesting? But notice it's a body response and interrupt the label that you put to it. I've got a groggy feeling, so that means I'm out of control. I've got a groggy feeling in my tummy, so that means I'm nervous. Like, no, I've got a groggy feeling, and like, oh, let's turn up the music and make it like let's enjoy this. Like, so I would encourage people to take notice of that first body response and kind of be curious, as we said, of going, yeah, I don't need to let this spiral anything more than what it actually is.
yeah, that's awesome. Yep, that's heaps. Yeah, see, I was trying to complicate it. No, no
No, but your
surprises.
question was divine. Like your question was just like, how can we help people? And that's what we do, right? It's
Yeah.
just like let's make this user friendly.
Yeah. And then I think I don't think I know because I've done it. So when you actually get to a point in your life, and I want to share this with someone out there today that needs this. It can seem overwhelming in the beginning when you think, oh my gosh, I don't really feel things, or I'm too scared to open that Pandora's box, or what's going to be in there. But I can promise you that with someone that you trust, when you work through everything, when life happens, whoop, like you get a moment and something will come up, but you process it as it's happening rather
Mm.
than, oh, block it, put it in a box, worry about it later. And it comes through you. You look at it, you address it, okay, we might sit on this for a few days or a week. Hey, tops maybe a month, and then it's gone.
Yeah.
Like I want to
Yeah, but it'll come back. It'll come back.
if we need it, like if we don't
Yeah.
learn, we don't heal from it. Like everything is given to us for a reason. We meet every single person you see today, you make eye contact with, you have a conversation with, that is all orchestrated. It's
And
all
it's
meant
all
to be.
communication. It's all how you communicate with what you're wearing and then what you're saying to yourself. And oh gosh, there's a creepy guy walking past, or just smile and keep going. Like it's all communication and being really aware of, again, that mental interpretation of what you're putting to the experience.
Mm-hmm. There's one word that I've written, I can't even remember writing this, but it's pretty good. Let's give myself a bit of a pat in the back there. There's a
So
thing
good.
here. Man, that's a really too emotional honesty.
Mm. Oh,
We go so today's episode, like we're kind of drawing it down to a close because I could just do this for freaking 24 hours with you. I reckon I
that's
could
why
just,
we've got like 3 or 4 more episodes coming
yeah.
up.
I'm so glad we've done that. But so this episode is about stored emotions. What we don't face lives in our body. And I'm going to put my notes down now because I'm going to be present for this. So emotional honesty is medicine. Emotional honesty. Think about this for a second. How often are you honest with yourself? And how often are you honest with others? I will take a guess, probably no, no. And I used to be no, no. Now I'm like yes and yes. I'm very honest with myself and I'm honest with people, but I'm also open to hearing when I've got good mentors and good coaches around me. I will always have people around me to help me level up to the next level because I'm dealing with so many people. And I think you need, whether it's an auntie or an uncle or a boss or a mentor or someone that you look up to and aspire to be, or someone that you learn things from. Don't ever stop learning. But emotional honesty, I'm also happy to be, Barbara, you're doing this again, or you should be doing this. I'm like, cool, no worries. Thank you. I'm learning.
Or try it on like shoes. I always say to my clients, I am not right. I'm just making a suggestion. Try it on like shoes. It'll either fit or it won't. And then we, try on a different pair of shoes. So yes, that emotional honesty, have discernment with who you want to share those deep, raw conversations with. And and then that emotional honesty, as you said, with people that you trust, that have got your back, who will call you out on your BS.
But let's just go there for a second. Emotional honesty. Well, it's not emotional, it's honesty. I'm going to really break it down. Honesty.
Yeah.
How often have you, especially in early dating and stuff, especially, I mean, this could be at any age, really. What do you want for dinner? I don't know. What do you want for dinner? I don't know. You choose. No, you choose. Oh my God, why can't you be honest and just say, I want Chinese or
Yeah, lasagna or whatever.
whatever? Like, this is where it starts. And especially in marriages and stuff, that's what, breaks my soul so much to see two people that were brought together by love, by genuine unconditional love, and they get so lost is because they're not being honest with themselves and then definitely not being honest with each other. And it
And then the
starts,
people pleasing gets them nowhere. It just go
oh,
hungry. You're just like, what do you want? No, what do you want? You just go hungry.
yeah, but it's also like the honesty side is you don't have to be a bitch about it, but it's more like living your truth, like living life. It's deeper than that. It's like living life your way with your person. And how do I say this? What I see a lot is people, they've checked out. They don't, it's almost like in a relationship, you think about it, guys, when you're dating someone, it could be your current husband or wife, or you're single or you're dating, I don't care where it is, but think about how much effort, how much of yourself goes into the courting and the excitement and I want to, even though I'm not really interested in war movies, I'm going to sit there and watch a war movie with you, or I hate bike riding. I mean, like, think of all that stuff. And yes, there's a honeymoon period, but I'm going to be serious here for a second. You have to work at that relationship every day like it was your first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every day it was like at your first. Be as present and be as grateful, but people just get complacent.
Barbara, how do you know when people are being honest with you?
I just get this feeling. I watch their body language.
Yeah.
And actually, people that sit in front of me lie all the time. Like, it's okay. Like, I see a mile off, and I'm not going to call them out. I let them, I let it play out. I don't call them out first time. There's no way,
Yeah.
because, and it's skill that I'm still learning.
Mm.
So it's something that I am still learning myself, but I want to give people I'm really big on compassion and understanding and caring, and I want people to feel that before we talk about the truth. So sometimes how I find out in a session is I listen. So not only do I watch the body language, but someone will say something in a session that, like, how do I say something without giving anything away? Like, kind of a collective with some clients. They'll say to me, oh, blah, blah, blah. I hung out with Joe Blogs and blah, blah, blah. And they'll just keep talking about something. And I'll sit there and go, that's interesting. They've never told me about that person before. Oh, that's
Mm.
interesting. They said that they hated them, but now they're hanging out with them. So it just comes out.
Yes, yes,
So
yeah.
that's something I really notice in the language and the conversation. I'll catch it, and I'll
Yes.
just go, oh, that's interesting. They've never, and sometimes it can be really big traumatic things in life or really big things, and I'll just go, put that down for later. That's interesting. Sometimes it's body language, the way that they move in their chair, the way they can't look at me, the way that
Yeah.
but they're only lying to themselves. So it's interesting that when we talk about truth, majority of people never tell the truth because they don't know how to be honest with themselves. So it's almost like this switch that is inbuilt into all of us, that I can't be authentic and I can't be real because you won't like me. But if we take it a step further, I
Mhm.
don't know who I am.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
going to lie.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
was born with this gift, not only being a telltale tit, but
Yeah.
being born with this face that cannot lie. Which sucks, because not that I'm condoning lying, but a little white lie I can't even tell a white lie because it is so obvious.
Yeah. I'm the same. I'm the same. But it's interesting with so many different body language type courses, and how to pick up deception and lying, and it's like, how do you study yourself, have the self-awareness? How do you know when you're being honest with yourself to be able to pick it up in others? It's
'Cause all the time it was
yeah.
the twitching of the nose, and it used to be like the rubbing of the nose and the eyes and and the
No, because you'll
swallowing.
see, I'll give you a hint. When you see me, anytime I rub my nose, that's usually because spirit's really close. So they make my nose itchy. And so, like, oh, I'm not lying to you, but I'll tell you.
Oh, I just itch my nose when it's itchy. There's no,
Yeah.
because I'm very, yeah, real. So there's no hidden things here. But yeah, that's interesting. And I expect that. When I first started, I struggled. And then now I know to expect it, that everyone's going to lie. And
They're
I
going to tell you the variation of truth they want you to know.
yeah, their truth too. Yeah, sure. And that's my job, to decipher all that stuff without even telling them.
That's it.
I
Yeah.
won't even tell them. I'll just sit there and just ask them a few questions or whatever. Or then, there's a few clients that I'm seeing now, and I already know what they need to tell me, and sometimes they never do, but I already know what they've been doing or what they've been, but that's okay.
And that's similar to the way I work, when people are like, "Oh, Claire, I got a head cold again." And like, "Oh, okay, have you seen your mother again this week?" And like, "Yes, I have. How did you know?" And you're like, "Because your body told me."
See, oh, I'm not that good yet, but I can't wait to be that good like you are. That's amazing. I love that you've shared your gifts and your talent and your knowledge and your wisdom with us today, Claire. Like, this is the start of, like, the 3 episodes. If I give everyone a little sneak peek on the other ones, I'm not going to get the order right, but so to recap, today we've spoken about our stored emotions. What we don't face lives in our body. Pretty bloody important. The next, one of the other ones we're going to talk about is your body knows. Why are you out of alignment?
Mm.
We're also going to talk about our beliefs, like
Mm.
how our thoughts shape our health, and how to this inner work that we always talk about, where to start, how, if you want to break some patterns or just have some knowledge and learnings for yourself, to do the inner work like, do you want to jump over here with us and do some inner work, or do you just want to stay stuck? So you get to choose, but we're going to do an episode on that and then whatever else. So as always, I've got all Claire's details in the show notes if you want to connect with her or talk to her. Is there anything that you would like to share with us or say before we kind of wrap up?
Oh, and I'm just so appreciative, Barbara, that you hold the space like this, and it's the in-depth, dynamic, thoughtful questions that you ask that brings the best out of these conversations. So I'm just so appreciative of everything that you do. So thank you, because yeah, without you, this message would have just gone nowhere. So I really appreciate how you've opened the space for everybody to share in on the conversation.
Oh, and thank you. And I love that you shared some personal insights. And I forget that people listen to this. So I've shared some really open things. And as soon as I'm talking about, oh, I don't really want people to know that. But I'm past all, that's the old Barbara. Like, I was very private. And even though I was an oversharer, I hated people knowing anything about me.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then,
We found it's not the
yeah,
silence, it's making it about the other person.
yeah. And then I had an instance in my life that something was broadcasted that the whole country knew about, and there was a lot of shame around it. And yeah, so it's interesting that, you go through life and you experience things, and if you don't learn or you don't listen, it just gets a little bit louder. It's like a little volume dial, a little bit louder, a little bit louder. You get a bit itchier.
And
Things
that's the thing. We said,
you get that little bit more constipated, or you get that little bit more diarrhea, or um yeah, your period pain gets a little bit worse,
yeah,
or
we didn't address that one. Put that one on the list. Period pain.
it's like,
But
yeah.
that's the thing, right? When people start to actually set a goal, this is where it's an interesting thing that happens. You put a goal out there on your vision wall or whatever, I want that. And that's when all of your insecurities, your health stuff, your everything's going to come to the surface. Like, if you want that brand new car, here's all of the stuff on you've been suppressing and holding back. And that's a big part of knowing that when you set that goal, you're going to have to work through the things that have held you back. Otherwise, you'd already have it. And that's a big message of mine when it comes to manifesting. We need to consider that even a doctor will use the word manifest, or a lawyer. They'll say, this tumor has manifested from XYZ. So it's the thoughts and the ideas and your mindset and your beliefs that turn things into reality. So whether you're manifesting your car or manifesting the health problem, it all starts with your idea. It all starts with how your that internal communication.
And it's such a big thing, right? I wish everyone knew about this, and this is why we're doing these series. But today was like how we suppress things and how we store things. So guys, I want you to, yeah, reach out to us if you have any questions, and we're going to go deeper into the energetics and the thoughts and the health concerns and stuff. But there's so
Yes.
much.
And may I say, if your listeners want to submit any questions for us, I'm more than happy to be put on the spot and explore anything that they want to know.
There we go. Okay. There's some questions. Anything to do with, could you give them like insight into what kind of questions?
Or we could go right from health problems. We could go with what beliefs, even validation from being in the womb. I could go past lives. I could do raising consciousness. When it comes to your experience of reality, I have gone down all those rabbit holes. But for our series, we have a focus on the wake up and that your body's talking to you. So yeah.
Wow. Thank you. This is so powerful, and I'm so excited to finally be able to bring this kind of format to my listeners. I know you're from all around the world, and I really thank you so much. Even a few years in, you're still listening. You might be a client of mine. It's so nice to see you. Hello, if you're a client of mine, or you might want to come and see me, and then you're like, I don't know, what's this lady all about? Or affordability, which is a real thing. I still want to pass it forward. I still want to be able to give so much information and help as many people as I can if you're in that place, because we all got to start from somewhere. And I think there's a lot of igniting the spark today. If you, this is all new information, even if you listen to it twice, like there's so many, have a journal, have a pen. I'm such a big believer. My clients will hear it all the time. Write it down, write it down, write it down.
Yeah.
That's just how I operate. But I feel like when you write it down,
Yeah.
it does something for you.
Mm. Yeah. It's outside of you, right? You can now observe it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the first episode down, for a wonderful conversation. It has been so amazing. What was the symbolism with the, oh, look at me. My mentor will be so proud of me asking you what the symbolism with the kookaburra there was.
Oh, kookaburras. I've even done a few paintings of those. Kookaburras, their laughter breaks up the negative energy in the atmosphere in the air. So the laughter and the joy is like, yeah, let's bring the energy up. Like turning on good music in the car that you want to drive to. It's like, yes, like I'm coming.
Isn't that interesting? Because I'm in my studio and across the road from me, there's some trees. Oh, there's some trees. And there's always, I don't know, they're pretty noisy. I'd say there's 3 or 4 every day that go off.
Yeah, so your clients are in a good spot because the kookaburras are just like, yeah, let's break up that stale old energy and
See, there
let's
you
laugh and
go.
get forward.
Yeah, I hear it and I just sit there and I love listening to that noise because I still, even now, this is going to sound really weird to everyone that lives in Australia, but I still get a kick, be 10 years next year, that, oh, this is so Australian. Well, that sounds like Australia, or well, that's, and I'm like, yeah, because it is. But sometimes I will have this cute little moment to myself where I'll be hanging the washing up or doing something in my studio because the kookaburras are right across the road, and they won't just do one little chuckle. Like in the afternoon, as soon as it gets dark, they'll have a massive like chuckle. And by the time I get my phone out, every time they've stopped. But I just now listen to it and it goes on forever. And I just go, I love living here. Like,
Yeah.
this is so nice, but I also like, this is so Australian and I laugh. I don't know why I like, it's kind of like the kid in me. I'm like, haha, that's so Australian. It's like if I see someone that's really bogan, I go, oh, that's cute. That's he or she so Australian. I don't know why. I just think it's really endearing and sweet.
Oh yeah, it got my attention. I'm on board with that one. So yeah, how lucky are we to have you in Australia? Woo.
I'm very lucky to be here. It's been good to me. It hasn't, but it has. So I will say it has been very, very good to me. All right. Well, I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.
Yeah, I love you and leave you, and everybody have a great day and go find those kookaburras.
Yeah, exactly. Send us your kookaburra clips. But like Claire said, any questions or anything, just send us a DM, please. I'll reply to all of them, and we look forward to seeing you on our next episode.
Bye everyone.
Bye, guys.